cruise ship companies are waiting to learn this Wednesday from the Centers for Disease Control whether their billion-dollar vessels can soon set sail again. They have been prohibited from cruising since the start of the pandemic, and hundreds of the luxury floating vessels, part hotel, cabaret, buffet, and amusement park, float at anchor and idled. But in Britain, these ships cruising to nowhere have become quite the attraction. From Weymouth in southern England, special correspondent Malcolm Brabant reports.
For the British, COVID signalled goodbye West Indies, hello Weymouth. Not just for potential passengers, but also the ships themselves.
It's a crying shame. It's quite sad to see them all out there, knowing people are missing holidays, and will they ever get back to normal?
Jenny Day has come to see a ship that once transported her to the Norwegian fjords. She's anxious to regain her sea legs.
For normal working people, we save all year at working to have you 2 weeks or 3 weeks holiday, and a cruise is just pure luxury, and it's a luxury that normal working people can afford normally.
50 miles to the east is a boat in demand. The cruise ship's bind is a bonus for skipper Paul Derham.
The moral of the story is try to take every opportunity.
Normally the Mudderford ferry serves an inner coastal waterway, but this summer the so-called ghost ships have been an irresistible diversion.
We first advertised it when we came out of lockdown. We were a bit slow, and I made an announcement to the passengers. Anybody want to go and see any cruise ships that are out in the bay? And a load of hands went up, and we've been inundated with phone calls wanting to see the cruise ships.
Derham spent 3 decades on a cruise ship bridge. The Aurora was his last posting.
I've been everywhere from Mumbai to Melbourne, now I'm back in Muddyford, and to see my old ship, it gives a few pangs, I suppose.
The pain is far more acute for the world's 60 cruise operators. When this commercial was shot last year, a record 30 million passengers were carried on 350 ships, making this a $150 billion global business.
Welcome aboard.
Before coronavirus struck, the cruise industry was enjoying a boom period. The shipyards couldn't build them fast enough. The industry was really confident about getting new clientele from China and South Asia. But now?
I think it would be naive not to acknowledge that a couple of companies have gone under during this time, and there is a risk that a couple more may do so.
Speaking from Belgrade in Serbia, Captain Alex Downs, an independent cruise consultant.
It's important to note that ships are still being purchased, ships are still being built, contracts are still being signed, and I think that's a real indicator that the cruise industry has a lot of self-confidence in its ability to restart.
There were small steps in Italy last month as passengers boarded a ship for the first time since lockdown after the government lifted its ban on cruising. This ship didn't stray beyond Italian waters. In Hungary, cruises along the River Danube have resumed. This liner cruises at 3/4 capacity, and cleaning protocols on board have been intensified. Kilian Weber from Switzerland was one of the first aboard.
I don't think they booked the boat fully. I think there's still some cabins that they left open so that it's safer, and then we have to wear masks when moving. So yeah, it seems like it's a safe experience.
When the pandemic began, cruise ships earned a reputation as incubators for the disease. Nevertheless, on the Mudderford ferry, enthusiasm for cruising was abundant.
Now that I've seen these ships, it's given me the inspiration to try that type of thing once the pandemic is over.
Louise Gallagher works for Britain's National Health Service and is hyper-conscious of the risks.
Personally, I don't fear the virus as much because I think that I would probably only receive minor symptoms. But I am worried about what I may pass on to others, more vulnerable people.
Jodie Carter drove 200 miles just to catch a glimpse of the ship that gave her such a memorable holiday 5 years ago.
I just hope there's something that happens soon that sort of makes them be able to go again, because no passengers get the experience and joy that I got out of it.
American operators are hoping that the Centre for Disease Control will lift the ban on cruising. They're promising to improve hygiene and to test all passengers and crew before boarding. Other measures are inevitable, says Alex Downs.
On existing ships, we will see some modifications, much like we see ashore with regards to social distancing and barriers.
Not everyone swoons about cruising. The ghost ships have upset environmentalists concerned about emissions. damage to the seabed and light pollution at night.
Perhaps they should do cruises to nowhere. I can see countries don't want 2,000 people walking down their high street who've come from wherever. Perhaps they could do cruises to the Norwegian fjords and not actually land anywhere.
But cruising still has an allure for the skipper.
I think I'd like to split my time halfway between the Muddyfoot ferry and have the winter on the Aurora in somewhere warm. That would be ideal.
Given the ghost ship's uncertain future, that remains something of a fantasy. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Malcolm Brabant in Poole Bay.
Malcolm always finds these fascinating stories. Thank you, Malcolm.